Welcome back to Cactus Core After Dark. My name's Kevandre, and this is Virtue's Last Reward. Actually, it's not after dark. It's actually only 8:25 in the morning, but it's really dark in here because I don't have the lights on and all that, so it feels like it's nighttime. You don't see a goddamn thing of that because I don't have a webcam, and I probably never will. All the same. So, you know, it's a very fancy time once again up in this bitch. Anyway, what happened last time, you guys? What happened last time is that we went with Clover and Dio into the laboratory. We met a good lad named Lord Hoppington who gave up his life so that we could take a great ball out of its chest. I wrote down bad information about the logic puzzle, but also it was just a really good room in general. And then at the end, when we opened the safe, we got the vial of Axelavir, which will cure Radical 6. And then that rat bastard Dio yoinked that shit and said, hey, if you want to get this back, you'll vote ally in the next game. And so now I'm just SOL, because now I'm put in a corner. And that's what Clover's asking me about. Are you really going to do what he says? Yeah. Sigma, you've only got 1 BP right now. If we choose ally and he chooses betray... I know. I'll drop to -1, and that means I'll get penalized. But that means... Look, it's not like I want to, alright? If we don't do as he says, then he'll destroy the medicine. If he does that, then Quark will... Quark will... So you're gonna die to save his life? That's... Why would you do that? In all honesty, I was terrified. My choice was far from a foregone conclusion. Well, we should get back to the upper floor. Everybody else is probably finished already. I bet they're waiting for us. I didn't wait for Clover's response. Grab the cup just in case. Well, I say just in case, like I'm not going to absolutely need it. Between Zero Jr., the announcer lady, and Kay, I need that cup. Which, by the way, is a Slytherin mug. I actually think that this is Bobby's, and he left that here before he left. Oh, I think he actually has a couple of these, so he probably took some with him. And left me this one, because it's the one that we've used this whole time on the channel for voices that require echoing or whatever. I think that the original plan, and why we had the cup in the first place, because we were starting the first Phoenix Wright, and I decided that I wanted to do a Bane voice for Godot, and he's not until the 3rd game anyway. But I had the idea for doing, you know, basically what I do for Zero Jr. in this game, and doing the Bane voice in the cup, which is, you know, fun. An Ambidex gate has been opened. 45 minutes remain until Ambidex game polling closes. Interestingly, what I do with this cup, right? So for K and Zero Jr., I talk directly into it like this. Not that you can see what I'm doing. But with the announcer, I hold it to the side, like this. So it's kind of reflecting in a different method. So it sounds slightly different. I don't know why I do it that way. And yet, it makes me much more professional. Now I'm lifting the curtain. You can see behind it. I'm lifting the skirt up so you can see what's up my pants. Well, there's no pants with the skirt, but whatever. Sorry. I went ahead and cracked it open a bit early. Dio. In one of his hands was a moon key. He twirled it around like a veteran gambler, grinned, and slid it back into his pocket. You don't mind, right? I figured you and Clover would get up here right away. Besides, I thought it'd be best to get this soon before you lost your nerve. I don't know about you, but I'm really looking forward to the next round. Ugh. I glanced around the warehouse. Alice and Kay were back. As was Phi. And of course Clover. Where's Tenmyoji and the rest of them? They're in the infirmary. We carried Quark to one of the beds. Tenmyoji and Luna are looking after him. I see. How's he doing? Well, it's hard to say. He seems to be sleeping soundly, but beyond that, there's really no way to know. No change then, huh? Right. So what was your room, Sigma? A laboratory. Is that so? Did it look like the kind of place where they'd be researching viruses and DNA and those kinds of things? Yeah, it did. Was there any of that Axelavir? Don't tell those other idiots that you found some Axelavir in here. I hear one word about it, and the next thing you hear will be little bits of glass shattered on the floor. My eyes flicked to Dio for a moment. No, nothing. Beside me, Clover bit her lip. I see. So how'd it go with you? Find anything interesting? Fi only shook her head. With a unison of movement that almost looked choreographed, Allison Kay shrugged. Where does that leave us? We've still got about 40 minutes left until voting ends. What are you gonna do? I'm a little curious about that lab you found. I thought I might go take a peek at it. I'll show you the way then. That would be wonderful. I think I'll go have a look at the room Alice Kay and Ted Myoji found. Never know, maybe you missed something. Perhaps there's some Axelavir hidden somewhere in there. Ugh. What a bastard. Then I shall take you there. Fuck! Ow! I just smacked myself in the teeth with the cup. Then I shall take you there. What about you two? Where are you going? Well, I think I'll start by heading over to the infirmary to see how Quark's doing. Then I will too. Glad that's settled. She nodded to Clover and they disappeared through the magenta door. Dio and Kay followed a few footsteps behind. Okay then, guess we should be going too. Hold on. Show me that journal first. Dio told me about it. He wouldn't tell me anything about the lab except that you found a journal with his words, some kind of bullshit language. He said you had it, so I was hoping I'd take a look. Yeah. One sec. I dug the journal out of my pocket and handed it to Fi. She began to flip through the pages, her eyes quickly scanning each one. This is Latin. Latin? You mean you can read it? Yeah, with time in a dictionary. So in other words, no. Pardon me for not being able to translate a dead language on the fly. This looks like some kind of research log. Bobby, by the way, speaks fluent Latin. So it would have been fun to see what he would have said during this. He'd be like, I could read it. Because I sound like Dio, apparently. That's my Bobby voice, I guess. It's not good. It's not going to be some sort of, I took the dog for a walk today. It was nice kind of stuff. I can understand a little bit of it, mostly conjunctions and things like that. But most of these words I've never even seen before. Fi started to leaf through the book again as she spoke. Then suddenly she stopped. Wait. I can read this one. Page 216. This isn't research notes. It looks like a personal entry. What's it say? Don't rush me. This is going to take a minute. Interesting. Alright, I think I got it. It looks like they're talking about Radical 6. What? Why are they talking about that? Not sure. Let me read it to you. Keep in mind I'm paraphrasing. When the body is infected with Radical 6, the processing speed of the brain is reduced. If we assume the brain currently operates on a 1-1 basis with regards to time, Radical 6 reduces this to 1 to root 1/6, or approximately 1 to 0.408. This means that for each second that passes outside, the patient feels only 0.408 seconds have passed inside. Therefore, when 1 second has passed inside, approximately 2.45 seconds, or root 6 seconds, have passed outside. In other words, when 10 seconds pass in the real world, a patient infected with Radical 6 would feel as if only 4 seconds had passed. This is why the virus has been termed Radical 6. Radical is another term for what is known as root operation, the function inverse to the taking of the power. In a less mathematical sense, it can also be used to refer to something that is extreme or severe. Those infected with Radical 6 eventually develop a powerful urge to commit suicide. The exact cause of this is unclear, although there is as of yet no direct link between suicidal urges and the reduction in mental processing speed. Many believe that they are not unrelated. Those infected with Radical 6 perceive the world to be moving at a fever pitch, as if it was a video cassette being fast-forwarded. For instance, although the patient believes that only 10 seconds have passed, in fact 24.5 seconds have passed. Given this increased speed of input, maintaining the ability to observe and reason would become a Herculean task. One theory holds that the disparity in time perception causes the brain to be flooded with massive amounts of information. Unable to keep up, it begins to fail. Whatever the cause, the infected invariably attempt to take their own lives, which is arguably the most terrifying aspect of this virus. Research suggests that a targeted antiviral could kill or at least disable Radical 6, but we have been unable to develop one. It seems our best hope now is to harvest antibodies from someone with a natural immunity to the virus. Thus far, however, we have been unable to locate a suitable subject, so I have continued my efforts to discover an alternate means of treatment. Given my current rate of progress, I predict that I will have a workable treatment within a decade or two. It is my fervent hope that humanity will be able to survive that long. The bodies of those dead from suicide are piled up along the roads leading in and out of town. The entire area reeks with the stench of decay, and the sky is filled with the constant buzzing of flies. As at times, their swarms are so thick that when one passes it feels like if a cloud had gone over the sun. Every day I see more crows and rats everywhere feeding on the dead. Ironically, the only healthy-looking creatures are the stray cats who have grown fat on a plentiful rodent diet. The few humans who survived the outbreak have been locked away by the government in underground shelters. I don't know how many were saved, but I fear only a handful. Their survival is the only hope that remains for the human race. Oh Lord, please, let their future be a bright one. I'm shocked that she was able to translate that much Latin. Whoa, that is a lot of information. Now we know what this virus does to you, though. If you get infected, your brain slows down to the root of 1/6. That's, what, about 40%? That isn't the important part. Those infected by Radical 6 eventually discover a powerful urge to commit suicide. Yeah, you're right. That would explain why Quark was, well, trying to kill himself. There are two other things in here that worry me. First, the part about how they haven't managed to develop a treatment for it yet. What do you make of that? What am I supposed to make of it? Maybe they just haven't found one when this journal was written? I mean, from what we know, there's a drug called Axelavir that cures it. Exactly. But in the journal it says it might take 20 years to make something like that. Hold on a second. I'm getting confused. When was this thing even written? December 29th. No year. Well, there's no way it was just written this year. Yeah, probably not. Anyway, moving on. The second concern I have is about the underground shelters it mentions. The newspaper article said something about quarantining people too. After we read it, we all thought the same thing. What if this was one of those quarantine facilities? But this journal seems to suggest the opposite. The few humans who survived the outbreak have been locked away by the government in underground shelters. You're trying to say that this place might be one of those underground shelters, which would mean we're all supposed to be uninfected. We would have been thrown in here to keep us safe. Yeah, I mean there's no way to say for sure at this point, but it seems possible. But Quark's been infected, right? Then maybe the virus got in somehow. That would be bad. Just think about it for a minute. If this is one of those shelters, a lot of things start to make sense. Maybe we've been here for a long time. Like, maybe they put us to sleep somehow, made us sleep for years, maybe even decades. While we were sleeping, the pandemic that newspaper article talked about happened, and whoever had this journal made this entry. And then once that antiviral treatment was finished, they woke us up? Oh, and then once that antiviral treatment was finished, they woke us up? Right. It's all just speculation, but... No, that doesn't make sense. I mean, it seems like a pretty plausible scenario, but... We were all captured before the pandemic started, right? Yeah. And how would they have put us to sleep for that long? How would they have known to do that? But most importantly, why the hell are we playing the nonary game if the point of this place is to save us? Throwing a bunch of people into a game that might kill them is a pretty weird way to protect them from a pandemic. Actually, quarantining a bunch of people forcefully might be a great way to, kill a pandemic. Not that I'm recommending that we do that. Or playing the nonary game. Though it might be a fun way to kill the time. If I was stuck at a quarantine facility with a bunch of strangers and they had us doing this game thing, that would be more fun than just sitting around waiting. Yeah, you're right. See? We don't have enough information to make any real conclusions. I think we should see if we can find anything else. Fi had barely finished speaking before she took off for the magenta door. Hey, weren't you coming to the infirmary with me? I changed my mind. You can tell me about Quark later. And with that... she was gone. Man. I let out a long, tired sigh and started off toward the infirmary. How's he doing? He seems to be stable as far as I can tell. Still sleeping. I see. Mind if I have a look? Please, go ahead. I made my way around the partition to the side of Quark's bed. The journal and the thing Fi and I had talked about would definitely need to be addressed, but for the moment the AB game was what I needed to concentrate on. Lives were at stake. Mine and Quark's. Those infected by Radical 6 eventually develop a powerful urge to commit suicide. If the journal was telling the truth, then as soon as the anesthetic wore off, Quark would go insane again. What if we weren't able to restrain him a second time? What if he managed to kill himself before we got to him? Or perhaps he'd just get out of the infirmary and go hide somewhere. On the other hand, it wasn't like we could keep anesthetizing him forever. There's only one way to save Quark, and that was with Axelavir. Unfortunately, Dio had stolen it. If we wanted to get it back, Clover and I would have to vote ally. But if I did, there was an excellent chance I would end up dead. The question was, then, what to do? Sacrifice myself to save Quark? Or keep quiet about the danger he was in to save myself? It was so faint I almost didn't hear it. Grandpa. Grandpa. He shifted a little, then fell silent again. It was enough, though. What on earth had I been thinking? How could I have even considered letting a child die in my place? Suddenly my cheeks felt hot with embarrassment and disgust. That I had considered letting Quark die even for a minute was pathetic. There was only one choice. There had only ever been one choice. No way was I going to leave Quark to die. My hands tightened into fists as I looked down at him. Any uncertainty I'd felt before was gone. I knew what I had to do. "10 minutes remain until Ambidex game polling closes. All players, please enter your votes. If no vote is recorded before the deadline has passed, any non-voting parties will automatically ally." Looks like it's almost time. You two should get back. What about you? Not going. I'm worried about Quark. But you're a solo if you don't vote. I'll automatically ally. I know. I heard the voice on the intercom just like you. What are you going to do if Kay and Alice vote betray? Nothing, I suppose. Just means I lost that round. I'd just be voting ally anyway. You know who my opponents are, right? Alice only has 1 BP left. If I picked betray and they chose ally, I'd kill her. I'm not so desperate to escape that I'm going to kill someone for it. And even if I was, I can't leave Quark behind. You see, doesn't matter if I go into the AB room or not. My vote's the same either way. Tenmyoji's mind was made up. Trying to persuade him to leave would be pointless. Alright, take care of Quark. Of course. You worry about yourself. Let's go. Okay. Luna and I headed out of the infirmary, leaving Tenmyoji and Quark behind. When we got to the warehouse, we found everyone else waiting for us. Well, not quite everyone. One other person was missing. Dio. Hey, where's Dio? Take a look at the doors. They're all closed. When we came in here before, the one on the far right was open. And that would mean... that he went in, I guess. Exactly. That bastard. He'd probably been worried I might try to take the Axelavir from him by force, so he'd hidden himself in the AB room. What a coward. I made up my mind to choose Ally no matter what, but... part of me had still considered trying to jump Dio if he dropped his guard. Now we'd made sure I wouldn't get the chance to try. Where's Tenmyoji? Oh, Luna explained Tenmyoji's choice. I see. Well, I guess that means I don't have to worry about him picking Betray. Right. What will you guys be choosing then? Ally, of course. Because my BP is 6, I assume. Yes. As long as Tenmyoji votes Ally, I can't choose Betray. If I do, K's BP will go up to 9. But what if he forces you? You needn't worry. I would never do something so crass. Really? Of course! Sorry, I keep hitting the fucking... what's it with the cut? Let me just move this around in a certain way that'll help out. There we go. Of course. Then you don't need to go in there. Excuse me? Alice can vote by herself. Then we don't have to worry. We don't have anything to worry about, right? I apologize, but I'm afraid I can't agree to that. Why not? I just can't. Shall we go, Alice? Hey, hold on a minute there. Kay continued briskly toward the AB room as if he simply hadn't heard Phi. Alice scrambled to follow him, perhaps concerned that he would lock her out. Only seconds later, they disappeared into the third room from the left. I hope Alice is gonna be okay. Well, there's nothing we can do now. If Kay told the truth, she'll be fine. 5 minutes remain until Ambidex game polling closes. Time's almost up. Come on, Luna. Right. They headed off at a trot toward the second room from the right, and were soon out of sight behind it. Inside it, excuse me. Fuck me. Alright, Clover, time for us to go. Okay. Right behind you. I sighed to myself and headed toward the leftmost AB room. Ring. What are you gonna do? I don't really have a choice, do I? There's only one thing I can do. I'm gonna choose Ally. You can't! You'll die! Well, you never know. Just because Dio told us to Ally doesn't necessarily mean he's gonna pick Betray. Do you really think a jerk like that's gonna choose Ally if he doesn't have to? No. No way! He's got 6 BP right now! If he picks Betray, then he'll have 9 points! Well, what about you? Huh? You've got 6 BP too, right? If Dio chose Ally and we chose Betray, then you'd have 9 BP. What? No, that's not... I didn't even realize that till you brought it up. I'm just trying to tell you that Dio is going to pick Betray. That's who he is! And I'm trying to tell you that I've made up my mind. That's who I am. The only choice is Ally. It's the only chance we have to get that medicine back. That's why Dio called you an IG! What makes you think he's gonna give us the Axelavir even if you do what he says? Maybe he won't, but I can guarantee that he'll destroy it if I pick Betray. That's who he is. Fine. If you aren't gonna listen to me, then I guess I don't have a choice. I'll be pushing that button. Huh? Before I realized what was going on, Clover ducked past me and ran toward the voting machine. No! Stop! I snatched her by the arm and hauled backward with all my strength. Ah! Sorry. Guess that was a little too hard, huh? Hey! What do you think you're doing? You can't just throw a girl around like that. Well, you're the one who tried to trick me. But I... You're gonna die! Dio's gonna kill you! You can't do this! I don't want you to die. "10 seconds remain until Ambidex game polling closes." Thanks. It means a lot to hear you say that, Clover. I gave her my best reassuring nod and turned to face the polling machine. 3, 2, 1. Round 2 of the Ambidex game has been completed. Results will be displayed in the warehouse. Thank you for your participation. Ambidex gates now opening. Clover and I stepped out of the AB room. For several long moments we just stared at one another. Words weren't necessary. Everything she had tried to tell me I could already see in her eyes. Let's go. I turned and headed toward the results screen. Sigma. I heard her behind me, her voice barely louder than a whisper. The choice was already made. I stood up straight and kept walking. Betray ally. Ally. Betray. Results from round 2 of the Ambidex game will now be displayed. Please check your bracelet to see your updated bracelet points. What? Sigma's BP is... negative. Suddenly all eyes were on me. I felt their weight but stood my ground. It was the result I had expected. I took a deep breath and closed my eyes. I didn't have to wait long. There was a sharp, quick pain in my wrist, barely even noticeable. I couldn't feel anything flowing into my veins, but I knew it was there. First would be the anesthetic Soparil. I blinked and my vision started to blur. When I tried to think, it felt like my mind had been stuffed with cotton. My legs began to wobble and gave out entirely as I crumpled to the floor. Sigma! Sigma! Hang on! Hey! Sigma! Get up! Sigma! Oh no! No, excuse me. Jesus, I'm getting these voices, man. Oh no! Oh no! Trying to open my eyelids was like trying to lift sheets of lead. My eyes had lost the ability to focus, but I could make out a blur that it had to be Dio in front of the number 9 door. Damn it. You'll keep your promise. God damn it. I groaned and with a Herculean effort lifted my head and then my sluggish body off the floor. Every step was a battle, and whenever I shifted my weight, my muscles threatened to give out again. But somehow I forced myself ahead, a single thought burning into my mind. I would reach Dio. Then, at last. The smudge of color faded into a recognizable person. I threw out my hand in front of him. Give it back. Give me medicine. Give it back? Don't act like it's yours. Aren't we supposed to share everything we find here? I don't care. Just hand me the medicine. What are you talking about? We found the Axelavir in the laboratory. And Dio stole it. What? You mean he has it? Right now? Yeah, so? I promise. Now, you. I wasn't a fool. I knew the kind of person Dio was. There was a chance he wouldn't give me back the Axelavir. If he didn't, then I'd die with my hands around his throat. I gathered as much of my mind as I could and got ready to attack. Fine. Not quite what I'd been expecting. Here. With a shrug, he pulled the vial out of his pocket and tossed it toward me. I caught it and pulled the tiny glass bottle on my chest, worried I might drop it. Label said, unmistakably, Axelavir. He was the real thing. Clover, take it. I held it out toward her. Right, of course. She quickly tucked it into her pocket. Good. Now at least Corp will be alright. With that, the last of my strength left me and I dropped to my knees. Ah, Sigma, are you okay? Sigma. I guess this is it.
First is the Soparil, which puts you to sleep. 9 minutes later, the tubercularine is injected, numbing your respiratory muscles. I guess you could say it'll really take your breath away.
9 minutes. Once the Soparil was injected, I had 9 minutes until the muscle relaxant followed it. About 4 minutes had already passed, which left me with 5, give or take a little. In 5 minutes, I would be dead. What could I do in 5 minutes? How could I save myself? I gave a raspy, quiet laugh. Even with death staring me in the face, I seemed to be determined to struggle right up until the very end. Okay, Sigma. You can do this. Clinging desperately to what little consciousness I had left, I racked my brain for any possible solutions. How could I save myself? How? There had to be something. Every problem, no matter how difficult, has a solution. There's always another option. Hopelessness is a state of mind. I just had to think. Think. If there was a way out, I'd find it. I wasn't ready to give up on life yet. There had to be an answer. To be continued. So yes, we have yet again another one where we're going to have to see a different ending before we can come back and solve that one. So, good times. And then we'll go back and we'll betray Dio, and then probably have some bad times after that. But that's going to be it for this episode. So, shout out today is going to go to a relatively recent Xbox release called Tell Me Why. Now, this is made by Don't Nod, which are the guys who made the, what are those called? Those fancy ones that are kind of like Telltale. I can't think of it. It's got the girl with the blue hair in it, and I think that they're psychics or something. I haven't played those, but, anyway. Oh, Life is Strange. That's it. So Don't Nod is the guys who made Life is Strange. Tell Me Why is about a set of twins, identical twins, though one of them is a trans man and the other remained a female. And the trans man's name is Tyler, and his sister's name is Allison. And Allison is voiced by Erica Lindbeck, which was kind of awesome. I was like, yo, I love her. And then I think the guy is, I think his name is August Aiden Black, or something similar to that. Anyway, it's kind of got, it takes place in Alaska, and the environments are beautiful. Like, the character models, I mean, they're fine. They work. But the environments are really the star of the show when it comes to aesthetic for this game. But it's kind of like the Telltale, or I guess, I'm assuming like Life is Strange, where you make different choices and that affects how people react to you and all that kind of stuff throughout the series. There were 3 chapters total for it. I played through the first one already. I think that all 3 are out now, though. And it's all just on Game Pass, so I could just play it for basically free anyway. and I've been enjoying it. I played the first chapter in one sitting, and I'm going to go back to the other two soon. But yeah, it's good. Kind of starts off with you finding out that Tyler killed their mother because she went after him with a gun after he cut his hair because he was discovering that he was trans and trying to look more like a boy. As a young kid, like 8 years old, I think. It's a really good story. I'm enjoying it so far. And seeing how everybody's reacting to him now that he's gotten out of juvie and returned to his hometown. As somebody of a different gender, basically, than they knew him as a kid. And in rural Alaska, you're going to run into the type of people who are not going to be quite as open to it. Though so far, I haven't really met anybody who's like super a dick about it yet. Anyway, aside from one person who was trying to peddle the conversion camp. But yeah, it's a good game for sure. I'm gonna play the other two and thoroughly enjoy myself. I believe. Very interesting setup and unique for games, I think. Anyway, so that's gonna be it for this time. Next time we'll go back and we'll betray Dio. See you then. Bye bye.